for coming on Henlit Central's first Zoom audio and face interview.
I wish you had
So
someone prettier. I wish you
no,
had like Jodie Picoult or someone like that.
you look fabulous. But is your hair blonde or gray? Because of the first chapter of your
Oh, my
Excuse Me While I
lights are really
Disappear,
yellow. It is silver.
it looks great. Yeah,
So
I
thank you.
that
It
was
really is. Yeah, it's just the lighting in here. I should have my circle light, but
you look
I
great.
lost
You
it.
look
I don't
great.
really know where it is.
No, you look
So
great. And it
yeah,
must be cold there because you've got a sweater and
it
turtleneck.
snowed
Is it
yesterday. Yeah, but you're in
okay?
Toronto, so
We
you're
have 14-degree weather today. It
yeah.
is crazy. You know,
I'm
the
like
buds are
15
coming
degrees
on the
above
tree.
you, but
Yeah,
yeah, it is it's a little chilly.
the buds are on the trees, and that's not normal. So that's pretty scary. Pretty scary. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And I know our Henlet crowd's going to love you. And just let me start off by saying how I discovered you. And I'm so sad I didn't discover you way back. But your book, Excuse Me While I Disappear, was a Secret Santa gift in my with my friends. We're all drinking wine, and you pick up the gift to see what the weight is, and then you say, book, I don't want to read a book, I'm too busy because I'm writing my own books. So I picked it up, and while everyone was, and I went, ooh, wow, and okay, I've never heard of you. And I flipped through it, and I
You're like
thought,
my
well, this
mom.
right. And I was reading chapter one while everyone was getting their wine refill, and I like spat out my wine as I was reading the first chapter about your hair. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's funny. So I actually wanted to hide it because it was still a gift. And I didn't want anyone to get it. So anyway, I read the first paragraph, and then I think three of them bought it. And then today my friend was asking me who I was interviewing, and I said, read her first chapter. She just bought it. That's what happened.
See, because I was gonna say you're really bad at Secret Santa, so you should always pick the heaviest one in case that's booze. Because
Right.
water weighs so
Mhm.
much more than paper.
Exactly.
Always.
Yes. Always. Yes. But
So
I know
I'm kind
now.
of sorry, but I mean,
No,
it led us to here, so that's
loved it.
good.
I loved it. And that's when I just started following it. And then I saw that I think you and I were sharing some list on Amazon Humorous or Humor and Satire. And that's when I saw your book too. I'm like, yeah, I got it. And so that's why I reached out, because I wanted to
Awesome.
include you in the Henlet crowd. So anyway, so the first and foremost is maybe tell us about yourself and how you decided writing witty and very sarcastic memoirs, because I know you've got three novels that you've done, but this latest one, Excuse Me While I Disappear, came out in November, right? Of
Yeah, it's
2022.
really kind of a disappointing story. I mean, it's the ultimate case of nepotism. I went to journalism school to become an investigative reporter and cover murders and things like that, like an
Yeah.
arsonist and rapists. And that's really what I wanted to do. And I got to do some of that actually when I was actually in college, which was fun. Well, rape isn't fun, but
Yeah.
having those kinds of like sitting in a trial and stuff like that and talking to witnesses and really
Right.
watching the stuff go down is just amazing. It's so much different than Law and
Oh,
Order.
I bet.
In any case, I was the editor of the State Press magazine at Arizona State University, and I had a humor writer, and so it was like an arts and entertainment kind of thing. And he was just in too many things. He was in too many groups. He was like doing fashion shows. He was like an international marching band. He was also from Toronto.
Oh, wow.
And he was also the president of Students Against Drunk Drivers. And so, but he was always late on his deadlines. And so I told him, I said, "You're late one more time, Mark, and I'm cutting you. I just can't wait. And I can't just keep filling all this space with
Right.
wire." And so the last time was the last time. And I was just like, listen. And he didn't even call me that time. He just didn't even file. And so I just filled it with something that I wrote because I had done all my wire. I just wrote
Right.
something in an
Mhm.
attempt to be funny about the people calling me with the wrong number from the people who had the number before. And clearly these people just like skipped out of town and didn't know, like, let 400 people know that they had changed their phone number. So now I was getting all these phone calls for the Eckerts. So in any case, I
Oh,
wrote about that. And then Mark called the next morning and he's just like, well, I was in jail for drunk driving. And I was like, way to
Oh,
go. That is so awesome. So I
yeah.
got fired
Good
and I gave
story.
myself the job. But it wasn't going to be permanent. It was never going to be permanent. But
Right.
I was just really busy and I didn't find anybody else that was as funny as him. And I was not going to hire him back. So I just kept doing it. And I wrote myself
Loved it.
into a niche that was in
That was in
1991.
1991. Yeah. And I think this was not the novel, though. This was your first memoir or essay collection.
That wasn't published until, oh gosh, 10 years later.
Yeah. Wow. And you enjoyed it so much. Came
Well, yeah,
naturally.
I mean,
Yeah. You enjoy writing?
I'm sorry. It's not COVID. You're not going to catch anything through Zoom. It's just a stupid cough that I got from a filthy man with a wolf mullet who stood in front of me at Albertsons. And this is the deal. He's not wearing a mask and he's in front of me. And then he goes up and I can hear exactly what he's saying. He's like, do you sell COVID tests here? And I heard myself say, awesome.
Great.
The pharmacist looked at me and I'm like, you're not wearing a mask. Clearly someone has been exposed to
That's
COVID.
probably the worst place to hang out is in front of a pharmacy with COVID tests. That's probably the worst place to be.
Exactly.
Right?
So, okay. So to get back, so that's why I don't have COVID and I don't have COPD. I just have a cold. So I just kind of wrote myself into this
genre.
Yeah. And
funny women.
But there really weren't, like Irma Bombeck was like the only funny woman that was actually writing stuff. And Fran Lebowitz too, but I was too young to know who she was. Nora Ephron was writing movies. I don't think she had written books yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
And so I just caught a lot of crap from people. Like especially trying to publish my first book, it took 7 years because people just said, they kept saying, she's just too bitter. She's just too bitter.
Yeah. But you found your tribe. That's the point, right? You have to find your tribe.
Yeah, eventually. I ended up self-publishing that first book. So
good for you. So this book, excuse me while I disappear, I believe that it's an Amazon publisher, a little
It
A.
is.
Okay, great.
Amazon has its own publishing house now.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't, and I feel like I have to apologize, but I will tell you, I've worked for Simon & Schuster. I've worked for Random House for the bulk of my 20-year career in publishing. And by far, Amazon is the best publisher that I've worked with.
Sadly, right? They obviously know what they're doing, right?
They do, and they don't lie.
And they don't lie.
And they pay me on time. There was Simon & Schuster once didn't pay me for 3 years. How do you live on that, right?
Yeah. Well, good for you. Do you have your book there?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
We got logged out. I'm going to get you to show your book after. You can run and get it.
I don't know where they are. No, sorry.
Well, I'll show it when I post this. But okay, so that was the inspiration though for this one, this recent one in November.
Well, I mean, what had happened was I wrote a book in 2017, which is, I think, the best book that I've ever written. And it was
Crossing the
novel,
Horizon, right?
Crossing the Horizon.
Yes,
right.
Yep.
It took me 5 years to research. And that was really my original calling, was to research and write investigative pieces. And when I found this story about these 3 female aviatrixes who had really kicked all the guys' butts and had really, they were better pilots than Amelia Earhart, but she is the one who's gotten all the credit for this stuff. And she was literally just the girl on the scene. She was in the right place at the right time, had the least amount of talent, was a really bad pilot. I hate to say that because she's dead, but she was a really bad pilot. She crashed every time she took off. So that book came out right when here in the United States, we're going through a presidential election and Trump won the election and our country froze. I think your country probably froze too.
It sure did. It followed suit.
Yeah, we froze. And that meant that people weren't doing anything. They
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah.
going out, they weren't going to the
Mm-hmm.
movies, and they
Mm-hmm.
certainly weren't reading books. And they really were not going to read a book about a couple of my female aviatrixes who die in the
Right.
ocean.
Right. Right. Right.
So that book just tanked. It was the best
Mm.
thing that I've ever done, got the best reviews in my career, and it sold 5,000 copies.
Wow.
So no one would touch me after that. And my agent dropped me in the middle of my tour as my career is spiraling down the drain. She emailed me. She's
Oh,
awesome. Her name was Jenny Bent. So just in case you know, don't take her as an agent. I
okay.
don't care
And
what she says
how
to
would
me.
that email look then? Was it
I
a,
just don't think it's
how did
working
that,
out between us. It's like,
oh,
oh, after 20 years. Okay, thanks. But
oh,
it
thank
was
you.
very much like a
Probably the
divorce.
best thing that happened for your career, right? When you got
Well, I
into,
knew enough about the business that when
yeah.
I entered this deal with Amazon,
Yep.
I am no longer represented by an agent. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
free agent.
Yep.
I
Good.
negotiate my own deals and I know how to do it because I watched her do it
Right.
for 15 times, you
Right,
know?
right, right. Well, good for you.
So,
It's doing well. And said you just
yeah,
sold another book today because my friend who was asking me who, and I
yay!
just said read chapter one, you'll be hooked. So
Yay! That's great.
yes. So the inspiration behind this book, was it just, I know you just had like the first part with the gray hair and the sprinkled donut powder on,
I thought it was
but
cocaine. I really thought
I
it was cocaine. But I was like, who's doing cocaine at brunch? I just
so
don't,
funny. But I loved, and I saw the book trailer. Actually, I just loved the what's to come. Was that for what's to come with Laurie, or what's to come in this as we age? It's the midlife mayhem, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
What's to
yeah.
come? Hey, looking forward to it. Everybody's looking forward to it. I'm in it deep into it now too. Midlife and all the other fun stuff that goes ahead with it. And I love the chapter titles too that you gave it. The Girl Gone Gray. Death
That
of
was
Kate.
actually my original
Mhm.
title, but Amazon didn't like it. And so they came up with Excuse Me While I Disappear.
But
I didn't like
it's
that.
perfect. Oh,
I
I
still
love
don't like
it.
it.
It's so
But
catchy.
yeah, I pulled it on Facebook and it was a 50-50. And I
Yeah.
was like, all
Yeah.
right, I'll give you what you want. You guys have
Yeah.
been really great to me and you've pulled me out of the
Oh,
abyss of
great.
anonymity to
Oh,
give me
good.
another book
Well,
deal. So sure.
keep on going. Okay, so here I've got some questions. So when did it dawn on you that you wanted to write and share your, and I said joking, potty mouth after spending time in this journalism career that you had? Like, I know
Oh,
that you told me a little bit about it with
yeah,
your
that's what happened.
was David?
That's
Was
what
it David?
happened.
Yeah.
What was his name? No. Oh, what was his name? Mark. It was Mark.
Mark. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's when you
Canadian Mark.
decided, you know what? I got to write.
Well, I mean, I was always gonna be a writer. I wanted,
Mhm.
I really wanted to go to art school. My dad said, yeah, I'm not gonna spend 4 years of college paying for you to smoke and make pots. So no, and I don't smoke pot, but he just thought I did. And so I was
Yeah.
just like, so he said, I'll pay for your school if you go back for journalism. And that was the condition. And so I was just like, all right, that's fine. I was
Take
not
that.
good at
Yep.
math. What else was I going to do? Right. And it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
happened that it was the right fit and
Yeah.
he was right. And it's the only thing that I was good at. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
terrible at math,
Obviously. Yeah.
bad at
Yeah.
everything else, horrible at
Yeah.
science.
Yeah.
So
Well, make people laugh. I think that's the greatest gift you can have. And especially nowadays too. And especially, entering the midlife, we have to
right.
laugh at ourselves, right? And we
Oh,
have to
if you
give
don't laugh,
permission
that's
to,
that's the whole thing is that
right?
people sometimes say, how can you admit that a tampon flew out of your purse
Oh, I have a
and the
worse
bag
story, but
boy
I won't even
caught
say
it
it.
and gave it back to you and it
Mhm.
had it had wriggled out of its package, it was
Yeah.
dirty, it
Yeah.
had a tail, it was stuck on a
Yeah.
pen like
Yes.
this, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like a flag. And so the poor teenage boy like gave it back to me, this dirty nasty tampon, just dirty from being in my purse, not that it was like
Yes.
it was not
I have
there.
another story, but I am not going to even record that one. But I'll have to tell you after I
I would
hit.
love to hear it. But people were
Oh
just
my
like, how
goodness.
can you admit things like that? And I was like, listen,
It's
at first you're
relatable.
mortified, but then every time you tell the story, you realize that it's happened to your friends,
Has it
and a
not
little bit
happened?
of the layer of shame washes off.
Right. Exactly.
So the more you
Exactly.
tell it, the more you cleanse
Mhm.
yourself. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And it doesn't require a copay from my
Yeah.
psychoanalyst or
Right. There you
psychoanalyst,
go.
whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so, and it just happens that what happens to me isn't unique. It's by no means a miracle. I'm not the only one who has tampons flying out of her purse.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
I
So
have
if we can
liners
all
always
band
flying
together
out of
and
my
laugh
purse.
at it, we make it a
Liners.
good
Oops.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
So with your funny stories, your cheeky stories, what do you want to say to those that are not fans? Like, because we all get reviews. I've had my fair share of, with my book, and then there's Margaret, because it's triggered some emotions, right? And that's usually it's not the writing, it's the story, and the realism, right? So you want it when you get these reviews, it's like you want to like reply. There's no reply button in the Amazon, but you want to shout
Oh,
it out
sure
real
you
name.
can. I've tracked people down.
Yeah. Oh, I've done my little search, and I think
No, I've
passively
tracked them
aggressive wrote
down.
back.
I've called
Yeah.
them.
Okay, I
Yeah.
should do that. Yeah.
There's
So what
one
do you want
guy
to
who
say
said,
to your fans,
"The
to
hell with
those that
you.
say,
You,
yeah,
if you don't like me, that's fine. Humor's subjective. Find
yeah,
somebody
it's
you like.
subjective. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it.
Fine.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of comedians I don't like that my husband doesn't like. Knock
Mm-hmm.
yourself out. I'm just not going to
Mm-hmm.
watch it. But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. I'm not going to listen, I've been in the newspaper business for like a million years, and people
Mm-hmm.
won't write their senator. They won't write their mother, but they will write me a hate mail over some stupid piece that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the scope
Yeah.
of their
Yeah.
lives, right?
Yeah. 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 And then you've got people that love and only love historical fiction that read your books and then says, I hate this book. Well, then, probably not your genre if you love
Right.
historical
It's
fiction.
okay.
So it's
There's
okay.
always
Yeah.
going to be somebody
Mm.
out there who doesn't like what you do. You're never going to be 100%. And you know what? If you're 100%, that means that you're like, let's see who really sucks. Like Taylor
Um,
Swift.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a
Right.
Taylor Swift
Gotcha.
fan, mainly
Yep.
because I'm 58.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have been a fan of hers if I was 15.
Right.
But it's
Right. So
something so sugar coated and so
right.
I'm glad that it's relatable to kids, but if something is so non-offensive, because life is completely offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Every aspect of life is
Every day.
offensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're living this
It's
candy-coated
dramedy.
life that you can't admit to
Yeah.
yourself that you do certain things every day on a daily basis,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go on with your lies.
Right. 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 Right.
Bury
So
your hate
then,
inside. Yeah.
yeah. So tell me, when you're not writing, what are you doing? When you're
No, I'm
not,
writing.
you're writing. Sorry?
Yeah. When I'm not writing, I'm writing. I work
You're
a full-time
writing.
job. So
Mm.
after my career crashed in 2017, I realized,
Yeah,
sister, you
because
got
you
to
were
get health
fired. Yeah, you
insurance.
were fired. You said you were fired how many times?
I've been fired like 8 times from jobs.
So
Yeah,
what are you doing now,
absolutely.
Laurie? What are you doing
I
now?
don't, well, I am a communications director for an Ivy League university that I'm not going to say who it is,
No,
but
nice. Very good. So you're not
it's,
burnt out when you get home.
oh, I work at home, so I'm already burnt out.
Okay.
But
Okay, you're not
I
burnt
get
out
to
after the
write it. I
workday.
get to go back to being a reporter and write about
Right.
the amazing discoveries that our doctoral candidates are making and the
Right.
advances they're making towards curing cancer. It's for real.
Yeah.
And I used to work at U of O where I did the same thing over there, made commercials and stuff like
Oh,
that. So it's an outlet for creativity. And
yeah.
I get to go back and do my original love, which is reporting.
Right.
And then at night times and on the weekends, I'm writing my books.
You're
So
writing your book and
yeah.
being like, I find writing meditative, actually. I find that I'm
You
just
do?
so focused. And well, I am in my book people world, right? So
Okay.
I find that if I don't have distractions and I'm in there and then I come out, it's like, oh, that felt really good just to be in a different world, right? So
Yeah,
I've
see,
only
I
written
hate
one
it.
sentence, but So who are some of your authors, your favorite authors today? And if we get kicked off, let's get to the next link and we'll just finish up. But who are
Okay.
some of your favorite authors? Would
My
you say?
favorite authors, where there was one, oh my God, what's her name? Molly. I just got her book. She wrote Jump Off Creek. I
Oh,
think. What's another one of my favorite authors is oh God, now I'm
I
on the
know when you're
spot.
on the spot, it's like, what?
Let's see.
Funny?
Molly she's an Oregonian writer. There's another one. Oh God, he wrote Benediction. Also the guy who
Oh,
wrote Atonement, Ian
oh,
McEwan,
yes, yes,
Colin
yes, yes.
McCann.
I saw that. Yeah,
Those are I read really, really serious things. I
yeah,
do not read
yeah.
humor.
Isn't that
I do
well? You
not
know
read
what?
humor.
It like again subjective, and
No,
if
it's subjective,
I
but also it creeps in. Like I would love to
mm,
write. I would love to read David Sedaris because I think he is very funny, but
yeah,
it creeps in, and I don't ever want to my subconscious to vomit up a line that
right.
was his, right?
Interesting. Yes,
So
interesting.
I started reading humor again when I thought that I would never write another
Yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
read like Tina Fey's book, which was great,
Oh,
and
that
Mary
one was so
Brown's
good.
book, which is
Yep.
great. But
hmm
now that has to stop. That's
And
just
what
gotta
and what
stop.
about movies, series? Do you like funny drama?
I do like funny. Bad Sisters is my favorite.
Oh,
I
hands
love that one. I love
Bad
really, really
Sisters.
dark stuff.
If you
Yeah.
and if you liked her in that watch
Catastrophe.
number one. Number one
That's
for
where
me.
I found
And
her
Wild
first.
Orchid,
Yes.
right? You gotta watch
And
Wild
which one?
Orchid as well. Wild
And
Orchid. No,
Wild.
no, Wild Orchid. White Lotus. White Lotus. Have you seen that one?
Oh, White Lotus. I went in thinking it was something completely different, so it missed the mark for me. But that was my own
Oh,
fault. That was
oh,
my own
okay,
fault.
okay. Yep, yep. You had a different
Yeah, I didn't find it too funny. I found it
I
really
like the dark comedy. Yeah.
yeah, it at times Jennifer
hmm
Coolidge is one of my favorites, always
Yes.
from the
Yes.
Christopher Guest movies,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Um,
She
yeah, so
won. And she won, right? Mike White was great. Like, I mean, his writing is
he is awesome.
brilliant. Yeah,
He
he's
is
brilliant.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Catastrophe, I'll go back to Catastrophe. That was got to be my favorite all time.
So funny. And
Sharon, uh,
I
Sharon,
know I'm at that age
Sharon.
I
We'll
can
stick with
say,
Sharon.
yeah, Molly McGuire, whatever her name
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Okay, well, what about this? What would be some of your advice to aspiring humor writers today, given this tough competition and tough industry, publishing,
I have
and
a hard time lying.
yeah,
So
just lie or don't lie. What
I
would you
can't
say
lie.
to
I can't. And so
what would you say to those wanting to write in that
it's
genre?
crazy hard. It is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, crazy hard. It is
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to write, it's hard to get published. It's hard to get
Right.
somebody, even when I was doing it in like 1993 to 2000, like there was no such thing as a social platform, social media
Right. Right.
platform. Like
Right.
I had an established readership at the Arizona Republic where I was a humor columnist,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's Arizona Phoenix's Metro Daily paper. So I knew that I could have a following, countrywide, nationwide, but proving that was really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just so happened. I mean, like I really tried to get that book published for 7 years, ended up
Wow.
self-publishing because it was my last resort, went to Amazon, maxed out my cards to buy ads on Amazon, unlike the
Oh,
David Sedaris
yeah.
page on the Jill
Yeah.
Connor
They
Brown.
are expensive. Mm-hmm.
Spent $3,000 on that. And then I found
Wow.
an agent who was willing to go to bat for me. And in 2 days, I had a 2-book deal from Random
Right.
House, who had rejected me 7 years in a row with the same material.
Wow.
Right. So you got to be in the
Interesting.
right
Yeah.
place at
It's
the right time
a
with the right
journey. Yep.
person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really hard to make that happen. So what the deal is that I am tenacious by nature. I'm borderline obsessive. No, I am obsessive. I really am. That's a lie. I'm obsessive. So if I set my sights on something, much like my husband, I'm not going to give up until I get it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you want to be a writer, if you want to do anything creatively, you have to have that kind of crazy, weird obsession and that part of your personality that not only doesn't take no for an answer, but it fuels you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to
it can push you.
know to make you
Yeah.
actually do it. You have to be able to say,
Great
I'm going to
advice.
swear in Italian, fangul, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to do it. I'm going to prove you wrong. And that is how I ended up writing this book, Excuse Me While I Disappear. because I
Good.
went back to agents that I knew and I said, I kind of want to get back in the game. I've got like 4 years of material now. What do you
Right.
think? And I landed off all this stuff about turning gray, about killing the lady in my audience, about almost dying with a cake plate. And you know what they said, those nice 30-something young agents? They said,
Oh.
Laurie, no one wants to read about middle-aged ladies. And I was like,
There
really?
is. There are
What about
millions
middle-aged
of
ladies?
readers. We're the ones that buy the books. We
We're
have the money. We
readers.
have the
We
time.
are the
So
readers.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Henlit,
You go
right?
into
We were
Barnes
just
and
going
Noble.
Henlit.
Who are you going to see? It's middle-aged women.
Exactly. Yes.
So
The
it's just like,
millennials aren't reading. So we're
and
the
at
ones
that
that want to
point,
read.
honestly, I
Mhm.
wasn't even really sure if I wanted to get back in the game. I was just testing
Yeah.
the waters. But after I got that no, I was just like,
Yeah.
watch me
Good.
do it.
Good for you. So then this goes right into my next question then. What can you tell us about anything in the pipeline then for your fans that
Oh,
you've
that I'm doing?
obviously, yes. Do you have anything in the pipeline
Yeah,
that you've
I've got
got
a new
something
book
going?
deal. I am writing.
Yay.
It's not going to be a funny book. This next one that I'm writing, I need time in order to get material to,
Sure.
because it's true.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
can't just
Yeah.
make it up. So the
I'll send
next
you
book.
some. I'll send you one about the tampon one.
Awesome. Awesome. So the next book I'm writing is actually a true crime story that happened in 1931, Phoenix, Arizona, around the corner of where I used to live, in which a very nice lady killed her two best friends and chopped one of them up, put them in a trunk, and shipped them to LA in hopes of
Oh,
dumping them in the ocean. And so I've been researching this story for 10 years.
oh
And
my
so this
goodness.
again, I get to go back to my reporter kind of stuff. And it's
Mhm.
been reported before, but it's been reported badly. The truth that we've been told about this
Right,
folk hero
right, right.
um, is not the truth. And so
Wow.
I discovered the truth and I'm going to
Hmm.
write about that, but it's going to be in a novel format. It's all true.
Hmm.
I've done 10 years of research. It's all in my basement in 10 huge binders. But I love doing research and I think it's going to be a really great book. And then after that, right now I've got
Yeah.
10 new pieces for another humor book. If Amazon will take me on for another
Right.
book,
Oh, I'm
and
sure
then
they
we'll follow
will.
up with that
Right.
one. I
So with
hope.
the serious one that you're looking at, would you write under a pen name or
Oh
would it
no.
be your same, just you've got your fans, but we say, hey fans,
Well,
this
you
is
know
the
what?
serious one.
Not
Oh, go look for
everyone's
it.
going to like this book. Just like
Yeah.
even though my name was on Crossing the Horizon, a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't turn out for that book. Now,
Right. Right.
there's a lot of reasons for it, but the
Mhm.
fact remains that I sold 5,000 copies of that
Yeah.
book, and that's crappy.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
kiss of death. You're never going to write another book again after that. You're just not.
Wow. Well, that's good advice for aspiring authors, right? Is you've got to, I mean, what do you think it is in today's world? Like what would be the number of books that a publisher would want to see before they renewed your
Oh, at least
contract?
20. At least
20,000.
20,000.
In
Yeah.
Canada, 5,000 is considered a bestseller, right? Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah, and honestly, but that's like over the course of from like publishing in
Right.
2017 to
Right.
now.
Right. Right. Right.
But I mean, if you really, okay, when I was on number one, I was a number one New York Times best-selling author, right? Do you know how
Ah,
many I actually sold that year, that week?
how
800
many?
books.
Wow.
800 books. No, I mean,
Wow,
that's
these
it.
are secrets that we don't know. No,
That's
no,
it.
I'm saying
Be-
that's it. Like, wow,
right.
like that's a wow, like what?
Because the New York Times does not come into contact. They don't even count Amazon sales at all.
Hmm. And they're
This is
just
what I've
looking
been
at that
told.
1 week.
Just the 1 week.
That
And it
1 week.
depends on, they have a series of very secret independent booksellers, some Barnes and Nobles, that they tally every week. And it's those bookstores that determine who the bestsellers are of that week.
Mm,
That's the way it
interesting.
was when I was let into these secrets in around like 2012.
Right.
It
Yeah.
might have changed by now, but I kind of doubt
Right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
when you think like the guy who was like building a studio for me, just like, oh, you're a number one New York Times bestseller. You must like make a lot of money. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go
Mm-hmm.
back to work because I needed insurance.
Right.
No,
Right. Right.
you make more than I do. You make more than an hour than I do. I'm taking a loss every time I
Well,
pay you.
they always say don't quit your day job, right? Until
Never
you've got
quit
a
you.
few under your belt. But
I did
I
do
know.
that in 2002.
Yeah.
I did quit my day job at the Arizona
hmm
Republic and went to go,
hmm
and it was foolish. It was really
hmm
foolish, but it was I had the naivety enough and enough confidence in myself to do it, and my career
Yeah.
lasted 20 years, and I was really
hmm
really lucky, but it was a
hmm
very hard 20
Right.
years.
But you have
Writing,
so much now to look forward to, right? If what you've got your book coming out, your serious one, you're
yeah, I'll probably get
working on
cancer
that, and
too.
then you're thinking about going back into the funny stuff. But
Yeah, I'll probably get a hip surgery replacement.
well, that in itself would probably be 3 chapters, right?
That
Like
would
that
be
would,
3 chapters. I'm sure I'll
right?
get cancer. I've got a lot to look
And
forward
then
to.
you've
I'm
got all the
sure.
stories when you're in your 80s. That would be funny too,
Yeah,
right?
I really don't think people are going to want to read about people in their 80s, because by that
Oh.
time, most of your audience has died off, like the Great Extinction. So right now, the core of my people are still hanging in there. But
Yeah,
once you get
that's
to a
great.
certain age,
Yeah.
it's a little
Well, you
iffy.
know what? It's the 80s that want to read it. So you've got to just take your crowd with you, right? That's all.
Maybe on
Make it
audiobook or
fun.
large print. Yeah.
Yeah, just make it fun. So, well, we have 5 minutes left. So it was great that they gave us extra time. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, I just wanted to, I'm gonna stop recording because I want to tell you the story. But thank you so much for being here.
You're
And I don't
welcome. Thank you
know,
so
how
much.
can we find you? How can your fans find you? You've got your Laurie Notaro Creative. I saw that.
Well, Laurie Notaro
Facebook,
Creative was my
Twitter.
literary
Where do you
agency
hang
that
out?
I was doing for editing, but no, it's actually laurienotaro.com. The
Okay.
website is half finished. I haven't had enough time
I
to go
saw
back in
that.
there
I
and
was
finish
reading
it.
going, this is Latin. But no,
It's
you've
just
probably got
Latin.
lots
I
going
just
on.
need to go back and finish it because I'm writing books on the weekend,
Well, it looks good.
and
What you've
it does
got,
look
the look and
terrible.
feel looks good. The
But
look
you
and feel, I'm seeing it. It looks good. Yeah,
so
it looks
but
good.
I'm middle-aged. I'm on Facebook. Find me there.
Yes, me
I'm there every
too.
day.
I
Every
hang out
day.
mostly on Twitter only because it was my first social media platform and I understood all the buttons and what to press. So Facebook, I'm there as well. And
Yeah.
I'm not really loving Instagram. I'll post the odd picture. It's my daughter that says, you gotta post. Yeah, I like
You
Facebook
gotta
and
post
Twitter.
for what? All you can do is
Mhm.
a picture, and there's
Yeah.
only so many
And I'm
things.
not, yeah, right. And if
I
my
could
pictures
post
don't
about
look
my
beautiful, my
sandwich.
daughter's like, come on.
A ham sandwich looks the same day after day after day.
Right.
It's what I have
Right.
for lunch, right? What am
Yeah.
I gonna, Zycam? I guess I could post that today.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that will be fun. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. So thank you very much. And we wish you all the best with,
Thank you.
excuse me while I disappear. And I'm seeing you on the list. We shared some space on that. That's great. And good luck with
Awesome.
your next book. Thank you so much. You take
Thank
care.
you. It's great to be here.
Bye.
Bye.